Don't be fooled by its boringness. Don't be fooled by its sameness. Those who adopt this aesthetic, there's a lot of premeditation behind it, lots of premeditation. And I should know, I am the living embodiment of Normcore. My name is Teresa, and this is Normcore. Today, we're gonna talk about plain t-shirts, Levi's jeans, dad sneakers, fitting in and not drawing attention to yourself. Something that I know very well, maybe a little too well. So to break Normcore down in its simplest terms, we have people who are high fashion, fashionistas. There are those who dress to stand out, dress to be noticed. But Normcore is a counter reaction against dressing to be noticed. You want to dress to not be noticed, but you still want to be noticed, but you're not out there. You're comfortable. It's a comfort thing. Diving deeper, Normcore embraces authenticity because if you're comfortable in a plain white t-shirt or a plain black turtleneck, some dad jeans, or just regular jeans, if you're comfortable in going out like that, you are very authentic. You're not putting on airs. You're not dressing to impress. Perhaps you are so confident in yourself. Your clothes do not need to take away from the shining centerpiece, which is you. You're not trying out a persona. It's all you. There you are in your hoodie, your dad jeans, in your New Balance shoes. You just look like your average everyday Joe, your average everyday Jane, and you don't care. You don't go out in clothes that scream for attention. Maybe you don't want attention. Maybe you're a serial killer and you really don't want attention. Maybe you are a tech billionaire in Silicon Valley and you don't want people to know when you are out. And you're so confident in yourself. You have so much FU money. You don't need to draw attention to yourself. Normcore has existed through the dawn of time. There are always people who dress to be noticed. Marie Antoinette dressed to be noticed. But I'm pretty sure there were aristocrats back in the French Rococo era who wore all black, who didn't buy in to the styles. Let's move on to the Regency era. There was probably people who wore the most elaborate on-pure waist dresses, but then there were the Lizzie Bennetts out there who wore a simple, subtle dress. And then moving further forward, for every fashion trend that turned heads, there were always the people who just wore t-shirts and jeans. We're not saying that they didn't care about their t-shirt and jeans. Maybe they spent hours and hours, picked out the perfect pair of jeans and out perfect t-shirt. And those are the people that you see just wearing simple clothes, but they always look put together. Normcore overlaps tremendously with the minimalist closet, the minimalist capsule wardrobe, the minimalist man and woman, the Normcore man and woman, not turning any heads, not wagging any tongues, timeless, ever present, persistent, Normcore. I love it. I love it because I live it. There's a lot of online research that goes on buying a simple black t-shirt. Let me tell you, reading the company's ethics, reading the company's rules on sustainability, reading about the material that it's made in, making sure that it's of organic material. I don't buy many t-shirts, but damn it, do I spend a lot of time on one t-shirt. And when I get that t-shirt, it is like the best t-shirt ever. And nobody notices. Nobody looks at me. And that's good because I don't want them to. The more people look at you, the more heads that turn, the less likely you are to get away with things. Not that I have anything to get away from, but I would like the option if I did. You know what I mean? The Normcore participants, the normie, they were always around, but it wasn't until 2014 that there was actually a name to describe the aesthetic of somebody who likes t-shirts and jeans, average clothes, but in a stylized way. Normcore 2014. 2014 is a year of immense significance. Hipster renaissance was in full bloom. Zooey Deschanel was doing her toy girl thing. There was that hat that everybody wore to these LA concerts, indie, banjo, percussion music. There were men dressed like lumberjacks, men dressed like prospectors, gals dressed like they were cutesy little librarians. And in the same vein, there was that Coachella festival look, floral crowns, cut off jeans, fringe, Native American appropriation. There was a lot of looks, a lot of micro trends, but the Normcore look was steady. It was a steady pillar in an ever-shifting sea of trends. So Normcore is about embracing the mundane. There were so many in-your-face trends in the hipster renaissance that it became the norm to adopt one of these looks, to be bold bold in your fashion choices. In doing so, when everybody started dressing like hipsters, like lumberjacks, like prospectors, like gothic lolitas and ravers, that became the norm. So he or she who dresses simple or plain were actually considered underrepresented in a fashion culture that was about standing out and rejecting their bolder counterparts. The normie are then emboldened, and then they become the boldest one. Because it does take courage to admit that you are boring. That was so deep. That was the deepest thought I've had all month. Actually, all week. I had a very deep thought last week. I don't remember what it is. It was so deep that it was unmemorable. We are going to get into the meat of things. We are going to talk about the wardrobe essentials of Normcore. So Normcore is about looking normal, but in a faintly stylized way. You think us normies, you think we're boring, and we may be very boring. Our clothes are plain, but premeditated. There is nothing casual about our casual outfits. So when I think about Normcore, I think about Jerry Seinfeld, the granddaddy of Normcore, and Steve Jobs, black turtleneck, dad jeans, New Balance sneakers, also President Obama. So many pictures of him with dad jeans. We love a nice dad jean moment. At least I think it's awesome anyways. For you, maybe not. Maybe you like that true religion stuff. Jeans with the white etchings on the buttocks and very aggressive buttons. I don't know about that. I like a nice dad jean. It disguises the dad bod. Speaking of which, I very much enjoy Seinfeld. If it were socially acceptable in this household, I would play Seinfeld in the background 24/7, playing on a permanent loop. I love that like Brooklyn-esque dysfunctional yelling sound. It's just that coffee talk yelling. I love it. You know, that's the sounds I want. And I like city sounds as well, but you know who will stop it? My husband. He will stop it. Because unlike me, he doesn't like the sound of George Costanza and his parents yelling. He doesn't think it's tranquil.
Blow out the candles! I said blow out the damn candles! Stop it, Frank! You're killing it!
But I think it's really soothing. Like, I just want some like Brooklynite mother to like just yell all the time in the background. I'm so weird. I'm so weird. So I am like a huge fan of Seinfeld. I never really thought that their clothes would be considered fashionable. I would never think that Jerry Seinfeld's clothes or Lane or Kramer would be considered fashionable in any way, shape, or form. And the reason why so many millennials like Friends better than Seinfeld is also the visuals, because Friends is a lot more aesthetically pleasing. They've got colorful sets. They have trendy clothes. They have attractive people. But in Seinfeld, oh, when I was a kid, I thought, God, everybody dresses so ugly. Elaine dressed like how my mom dressed. She had like mom clothes. All the actors, they had full-on dad clothes. And Jerry Seinfeld's clothes was considered dad clothes even back in the 90s, even before the dad clothes term was coined. I thought he dressed like a dad. There was no bright pops of color in the set design. But now it's kind of like we're in a phase where things are just so ugly that it's cool. The dad sneaker, the overall like dad look, dad jeans, it's so ugly and it was so uncool. It's transcended into high fashion and it's cool. Fashion is a tricky thing. Fashion is a fickle beast. For women and modern day normcore looks, Cocoa Beauty. Considered kind of city chic minimal, the minimalism trend, and normcore, big overlapping circles, overlapping like this, like they're basically the same thing. In any event, Cocoa Beauty, let me put up some images of her outfits here. Matt D'Avella, who directed the documentary Minimalism, he is going for the whole Steve Jobs vibe. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of successful minimalism and productivity gurus, they've adopted that Steve Jobs wardrobe because you are here for a higher purpose. You're here to change the world with your ideas. And you don't have time to glance through your wardrobe and, what do I wear today? So you solve that problem by eliminating your choices. You don't need to be bogged down by decision fatigue when it comes to clothes. So you buy what you like what you like, you know what you know. All your shirts look the same, white button down, black t-shirt, black turtleneck, all your pants look the same, all your shoes look the same. So you're never confused and you never have to think twice about what to wear. That's a tech bro, productivity bro, probably crypto bro, venture capitalist, entrepreneur corner of Normcore. You got to get yourself a jacket or puffer or windbreaker from North Face, Patagonia, or Uniqlo. Quality, material, and fit are your holy trinity when it comes to Normcore aesthetic. In terms of jeans, we like a nice pair of Levi's. We like the classic Levi's 501 or the wedgie straight fit. High-waisted, low-waisted, it's all up to you. Usually nowadays, like the more modern form of Normcore always incorporates this 90s aesthetic, kind of like a 90s, almost tomboyish aesthetic. Not full-on athletic, but there's touches of athleticism in it. And the look is kind of gender fluid. The t-shirt. You gotta have a plain color t-shirt. You can also do stripe. I have many stripy t-shirts, nothing too embellished. We don't want your Ed Hardy t-shirts or anything branded. That is the #1 nemesis of Normcore, branding. We don't want a full body Gucci tracksuit. We don't want like a Versace tee with Versace emblazoned all over your chest. We don't want that Y2K rhinestone bibe look. But sometimes you can't get away with branding. So if you wear like a polo shirt, then the tiny little logo should be fine. Tiny Ralph Lauren polo man. Don't fall into that big pony polo. We don't want any Abercrombie and Fitch, Aeropostale, the Gap hoodie with Gap all over it. We don't want that, even though that is what I remember Mark Zuckerberg wearing, or at least like the fictional version of Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network. He was not trying to be fashionable at that time, but you know, if he were to upgrade his wardrobe and still keep to the hoodie, it would be a plain hoodie, okay? In the same family of the crew neck t-shirt, you can also do a V-neck, I suppose. Make sure that you think long and hard about the depth of your V-necks. I think about Simon Cowell, you know, the judge from American Idol, and how he always had this very tight-fitting, plain white V-neck t-shirt, but then it also kind of gave him like that man booby appearance. I don't know if you want that. I can only speak for women. Don't like the V-neck to be like a shallow V-neck, but I like the V-neck to be a deep plunging V-neck, so you can see a little bit of cleavage. It adds that extra spice to your Normcore attire. See, the thing with Normcore is that you have nowhere to hide. Your clothes are very plain, but you have to make sure, because they're so plain, they are of good quality and especially good cut. The cut is very important. While we have the crew neck t-shirt, which is like the staple, the very foundations upon which the Normcore wardrobe is built, we do a V-neck. And then we can also embrace, for winter wear, the turtleneck. Steve Jobs black turtleneck. It doesn't have to be black. Nobody said that as a normie, you can't say hello to color. It could be white. It could be cream. It could even be striped. I like a nice green. I find that green is a spicy neutral. While we're on the subject of the turtleneck, let's go to summer. Let's do a tank top. Tank top's definitely acceptable. Many different cuts. You do a nice cropped tank top, a halter top, just as long as you don't have any crazy embellishments, just as long as the color is just solid, plain color. That's so normal. Stripes are also allowed. Polka dots. Let's not get too wild here. And then once you've embraced the solid color, then you can just spice it up. You could do my favorite thing in terms of Normcore dressing, monochromatic. Oh yes, monochromatic dressing, where you wear the same color but in different shades. You pair your dark olive green pants with some light sage green top or a dark academic green top. While we're on the subject of turtleneck, the mock turtleneck, a Jerry Seinfeld staple. The mock turtleneck is kind of like a party turtleneck, whereas like the actual turtleneck means you mean business, it means you're here to be warm. But the mock turtleneck is kind of like Friday casual of turtlenecks. We always return to this minimalist capsule wardrobe because whoever came up with that concept, they were onto something. They were such unappreciated geniuses, it's scary. They always put the trench coat into their capsule wardrobe. Your standard trench coat, use it. It's a very versatile item. It really completes an outfit. Let's hope you're wearing clothes under your trench coat, but nobody will notice you. You could flash anybody you want. Not that I condone flashing, I condone clothes, so put them on. Put on your plain t-shirts, your mock turtlenecks, and your jeans, your Levi's 501s and your chunky dad sneakers. It doesn't really have to be chunky though. That's another corner of normcore. So ugly, it's chic, chunky dad shoe vibe. The New Balances. I don't know if you want to wear the Balenciaga dad shoe again. I'm not really into super chunky sneakers, but what I am into is Allbirds. Allbirds are like the new normcore shoe staple. I mean, they do have a logo on it, but it's a very discreet logo. It's on the back of the heel. The shoes are just solid colors. I mean, they have funkier colors. They're coming out with funkier collaborations, but they're staple products. They don't really draw anybody's attention, but they're like the most comfortable shoes I have ever worn. These shoes are like walking on a cloud. Is it the most attractive shoe? Not really, but again, it's a vibe. I've never owned any New Balances, which I've always considered the epitome of the dad shoe, but they were having their moment and now they're cool. And I kind of want a pair, that green and yellow colorway. In any event, shoes, nice white tennis shoe, Reeboks, it could be Nike. Nike's a big thing. Jerry Seinfeld, he was kind of a sneakerhead, wasn't he? Did you notice his shoes? Because he always had a new pair of Nikes. He didn't have the coolest Nikes. He didn't have those Air Jordans or anything, but he always had a different kind of Nike with his normcore outfits. George, however, George was partial to the Nike Cortez. Birkenstocks are also a normcore staple. Birkenstocks used to be considered freakishly ugly. They made a comeback in force and they're still around, and now they've got like all these colorful new versions like iridescent blue. For normcore purposes, we're staying to the neutral Birkenstock. That's a fun time summer shoe for normies. For hip normcore purposes, I would advise that all your outerwear be a little oversized. You know, you don't want to go for that petite, really tight fitted look, though nobody's stopping you. For windbreakers, if you're going truly vintage, you can also just thrift them. There are plenty of windbreakers from the 90s. You can go a little crazy with your 90s windbreaker. The 90s windbreaker are nothing if not color blocked. I often wonder what makes a dad jean a dad jean. Gotta be a light wash. High-waisted. Usually men, when they get older, they lose their butts. I don't know if they've ever had butts. They lose their booty. That is why men have to wear a belt when they get older, or else their pants will fall down. Very roomy butt area. That's what gives the dad jean its final characteristic. It's a straight leg, so it's not necessarily roomy. The butt area is roomy because there's no volume there, much like my booty. There's also tracksuits. As I said before, touches of athleticism. You're not a professional athlete here. To be honest, if you have that dad bod, dad butt, then maybe you were never an athlete. We like to pretend that we're athletic in the normcore sphere. How can you tell if that person is dressing like that on purpose? Or how do you know if that person is just living it without any second thought? You can't tell. You have to have a very trained eye, and the only way to tell, does the outfit go together? If you care about your clothes, you would make sure it's dad jeans, but it's cut well. It's in the way that the hem falls. You're not going to have any high wires unless you want high wires, but then you would have some interesting socks. As for t-shirts, you would make sure that the hem falls in a certain way that doesn't make your legs look too short. And you would make sure that your proportions are correct. Like if you have something tight up top, you kind of pair it with something looser on the bottom. Like if you have your wide leg trousers tight up top. Somebody who cares would always make sure their shoes look clean. Somebody who doesn't care would wear a ratty pair of New Balances, like actual dirt. If they're wearing wireframe glasses that usually come with nose pads, you see green or black gunk, that's some kind of fungus, guys. That's on your face. That's when you tell the person is a little laissez-faire. They're a little casual. If you're ever in the downtown businessy area of San Francisco, where all the major tech companies are headquartered, that is Normcore Central. The North Face puffer jacket, Allbirds, plain t-shirts, plain tech pants, plain trousers, plain chinos, the epitome of normcore right there. And I felt like I fit in. I feel like I am Mr. Rogers, guys. We've really made some progress here in the evolution of the human being. So with that in mind, if you are changed in any way, or at least tickled, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to my channel. I will have more fun and interesting things that will tantalize and titillate your brain. So long, farewell, good night, good luck.